All right, let's get this going. I'm getting the broadcast all loaded up. Announcer cam and all. Checking in to see if any of my co-hosts will be joining me today. Let's see. Tricky. We'll see if that comes on. Ooh, looks like Josh might be as well, so that's nice. And it's going to take a little bit longer than usual to get this car loaded in. So give me a second here. We've got a 40 cars available grid tonight. I don't know if everyone's going to show up. We'll see how it goes from there. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. So far, though, it looks like we got a little bit of a spread. I'm seeing definitely more GT3s than I am MX5s. Actually, only 2 MX5s so far. I don't think people are taking their odds into account. I really have not seen a lot of MX5s entered the track. I wonder how things went for the EU grid. Let me take a look there. That's, of course, announcer bot will try and start to dial things in. Perfect. Let's see, we ended up with only 5 MX5s in the EU class, so yeah, we might just run into a race like that today. It happens, but we'll see what goes on. For your sake, though, let's let you see. I'm going to let announcer cam kick things off just while I get a few more things tweaked for the server, ready for the event. I will be back to commentate in probably like 2, maybe 3 minutes here. But we'll let this knockoff Jim do his job for just a minute here and cover me till I can get the drone kicked in. So give me just a second. All right, and I'm back. So let's head in to Old Faithful here. I don't think I'm going to need any help calling this one out from our buddy there. Is that the one we use? Yeah, that one there. Look a little funky, but that's just because it's got some speed, as we've got Mahatma Gandhi in the team money shift. There's something blasphemous about that combo. It is randomly selected, so I do can't really hold it against Gandhi, but very interesting look. As we've got a few MX5s working their way out now, slowly. See how that grid beefs up along the way, but let's tune in with Mahatma Gandhi. Worked his way up through the S's there. A lot of elevation change on that one. Going to be interesting to see the difference in the cars. And this right here, we're going to call this Chaos Row, but the bus stop chicane. Forget that inner loop, outer loop nonsense. It is the bus stop chicane, as you have come to know it. Working our way down now in towards the laces. This is a very tough turn in those GT3s. You have a fine line to burst into that acceleration. You actually get to use a little bit more of the track typically, but Gandhi's been on a roll this week, so I am not going to be one to question his choice of line here when he's been having the week that I'm saying he just because Gandhi, but this racer's been having the week that they have. Let's look around somewhere a little bit elsewhere. I'm just curious to see where these MX5s, how things look when we've got a GT3 barreling down. So let's take a look behind and see. So that GT3 is entering this part of the straightaway now. They're definitely going to enter the chicane at very similar moments. But that MX5 has some pretty solid cornering. Ooh. All right, well, I thought that was going to go a little bit differently. You can't hold that against me. But Big Dean Energy now in the GT3, getting his pass on the MX5s. It is certainly a little bit more of a comfortable track to have these guys on than Laguna, but it's got its moments. There are definitely other spots you don't want to be side by side with that multi-class car. So we'll see how that comes to be. The Project Purple now in with a GTR. I believe that's the comfort car. I think that's what we usually see purple in. Got a couple of guys. Some of the custom liveries. We don't have a lot of Mercedes ones. That AMG, not typically a popular choice to the point where we actually removed it from some of the seasons. So that's why it really is on the back foot as far as some of those go. Clammy now going to be the next object. Oh, for these GT3s to pass. Now the GT3s have to learn that MX5 line if they're not familiar, because the MX5s can't really do too much to abandon it around some of those higher speed corners. So the GT3s are going to have to learn where they're going to be, and that'll be the challenge for them tonight as far as navigating the grid. Now, some of our more senior racers like Speed Bump have the advantage of being on this track in both vehicles multiple times, so they might have a little bit of a better edge when it comes to those things. Heading into the bus stop now, though. Speed with a 146.054, looking to break into the 45s. And definitely on pace, too. Having a look at the live timings, I'd say they are still in the green. They have a personal best in the offline practice of a 145.923, which is the current top on the server, but this would smash that time. So a very, very strong Sector 2 if they can hold on to that pace here through the tow. It looks like they found a little bit of an alternative line and have definitely picked up the pace now. I don't know if they picked up a draft somewhere or what, but they are on fire. It's all going to come down to a big Sector 3 here. They've got a little bit of misfortune as there's a car spinning out in front, but they're able to avoid without losing too much speed. And that 79 car making it look easy, gaining almost a full second so far. This could even get speed closer into those 44s if he holds these final corners. That's going to be a close one as far as the track cuts go, but I think those tires just gripped onto the edge, and he will certainly power through. Is it going to be a clean lap as he comes across? It is a 145.368. Phenomenal pace from that number 79 car, and only 10 minutes into our practice session. So absolutely exhilarating to see. I'm going to jump over now to Project Purple in the GT3. This is a livery we haven't seen. I know it's a Kunos one, but I actually kind of like this. Pops nicely here in the light fog. As we see the GT3s sandwiching that MX5 right now. Project taking a little bit of an outside line to get around, but managing to get by nonetheless. Very impressive. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MX5s now on the live timings board out of a grid of what seems to be 13 cars. So a little bit lean towards the GT3s, but not an overall terrible spread. And again, we got plenty of time left as things continue to pick up. see where things start to fall. I am seeing MX5s, the top time currently a 2:12 from Woohoo Man. Very solid time in comparison to the rest of the grid on their end. They've got a 5-second gap. Now, obviously, that's going to count for some spins, some cross traffic, the whole nine. The MX5s have a little bit of a harder time to get around and put a clean one in because of just how quick those GT3s make it to catch up. I know the GT3s have to pass a lot of MX5s, but you know it's often easier to pass than be passed, depending on where that moment comes. See a little bit of an incident between Woohoo Man and Gandhi on live timings. That's exactly the type of stuff that we were mentioning may happen. We didn't get to see exactly what it was, but it's just the sake of that multi-class. So Purple with a cut in Sector 2 last time was able to keep it clean through that pass on the outside on the MX5. So that's interesting. Found a nice little way about it. Looks like Woohoo Man apologizing over the comms. So they're going to be the one accepting fault on that multi-class incident earlier. Ooh, as Project Purple sends one a little bit into the grass. Let's move up and see how Seb Bellew's faring. Currently, the racer trying to track down Speed Bump. Saw a chance for a bit. Ooh! And nearly saw the bumper of an MX5. But great control there. Manages to keep both racers clean. Didn't even see anything pop up on the live timing. So, very well done by both of them. Seb now working his way through the heel. Currently down on his Delta following that incident with the lap traffic car. Incident's a strong word. It wasn't really anyone's fault, but still a moment nonetheless. 16.5 minutes of qualifying, and the track is going to get warmer. So don't forget, these times are going to start to pick up, especially those MX5 times. Right now, those guys have colder tires than the rest of the grid. GT3s are actually kind of a little closer to their ideal soft window now than they will be come race time, when they're sitting at around 32. That's where we typically end up here. Still with Project Purple to see where that lap is going to come. It seems to be Sector 2 hurting them a little bit, just that bus stop chicane where the struggle is coming for now. But we've seen a lot of our racers all of a sudden find that groove with a late break here and a pretty solid dive. So Project taking it a little bit more cautiously this time, just possibly to get the clean lap in. And I don't know what the delta is currently comparing to, but right now we're showing a delta of about 3 seconds up on their fastest lap. I don't know what a 3/10 up on their fastest lap. I'm thinking we're in like the 146 range, perhaps, maybe 147s, depending on whether or not I'm understanding the live timings correctly. Plenty of time left, plenty of racers still bouncing onto the grid. Looks like we've got the man, the legend himself, the EU demoralizer this week, Josh Fulton.
That was a lot of fun racing with those guys.
It seemed it for you.
really close racing today with Potato during part of the second race.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch it. Did we have the EU broadcast stream?
I think there was an AI broadcast. I think Spiker managed to have those running for us.
Nice. I'll have to check that one out for sure. Get back to it.
I did post all of the EU replays this week as well. So.
Perfect. So worst case scenario, we'll just do a stream with an AI in the background.
Yeah.
And after the math stream, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
So you haven't missed much. We're starting to get the hang of just what this multi-class event's going to look like. as I'm sure you'd expect, the bus stop chicane going to be an interesting moment between the two classes, as well as some of those final high-speed corners where the MX5s don't really have a way around the line.
Yeah, this was a track this afternoon where people definitely needed to be aware of their surroundings. Mostly just because there's so much high speed sections where those GT3s are just so much quicker. Um, Going into those heavy hairpins down by the boot, turn one are also just huge, where the cars just tend to end up on top of each other. You want to throw your screen share up on Discord so I'm not looking
Oh,
at a delete?
yeah, that would help you out here.
Maybe a little.
Here, I'll even share it with the sound. How about that?
Oh, beautiful.
Broadcasting out to the wind over here, you know?
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's Watkins, right? It's iconic, classic. It's been around forever, and it's just a fun track in general. Once you get it right, the flow of the track is just super appealing.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how things go today. And it's going to be interesting to see. I'm starting to see more MX5s pop in, so I think we are actually going to end up with a properly split grid. And I think that's just going to be really fun to watch. It's just these two groupings battling it out over the course of the next 20 minutes here. I did notice
Oh
you
yeah,
guys were a little
definitely.
lonesome on the MX5 side this afternoon.
Oh yeah, but I mean, we had a couple small packs. We had, I know me, Potato, and Botlando were all duking it out for the podium positions. And then I believe the other MX5s on the track were all sticking pretty close together. It was really a case of who could get through without getting caught up in the business, right? So
Right. Yeah, I mean, these guys have been certainly pushing the limits of the track very hard. We've seen a couple NASCAR lines taken just to get around the MX5s by some GT3s, and so I'm very excited to see just how far to the limits these guys are willing to push. But I'm going to pause for a minute because my favorite livery has finally made it out into the track. The broadcast car did not steal it this time around. We've got the Marlboro livery once more.
I ended up in this car this afternoon.
Did you?
Yep.
Oh
Yep. I
man,
think I was in it on Monday as well. So
it's so simple yet just so well executed. One of my
yeah, it's
favorites,
very, yeah, very iconic.
And just with those slight customizations from Mo Powis, with the "See you later" license plate, the whole nine, 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites on the grid. I'd like to see Mo getting back on the grid. I'd like to see Mo jumping into the broadcast booth and joining us instead of avoiding his responsibilities
Mhm.
like my father, right? So
I did shoot him a text and called him a coward in the Discord, so we'll see if that makes him pop up for his guest appearance that he said he was down for last week.
yeah, yeah, I'm super excited for the grid this time around. The GT3s, uh, I mean, obviously they're a little bit more fun when you get them right, just because they're so fast going through this track, right? But those MX5s, just because they're the same car, they're a cup spec, they tend to lead to better wheel to wheel battles and just much closer racing in general. So I'm always excited when the MX5 grid is full.
Yeah, the more MX5s, I feel like the closer that action comes, not only for themselves but for the GT3s, because it's harder for those lead cars to get by when the traffic is tight together. So it creates a little bit more opportunity for everybody to get involved in these short 20-minute events.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough this afternoon. There was actually a time where Potato and I were essentially side by side through like two straight laps, and Botlando ended up catching up to us as well. So there was three of us. So if a GT3 would have caught up to us, we would have held up the entire pack.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, although it's a faster car, it is on them to try and find a way around when that chaos is happening. And these MX5s don't have a lot of places to go around the bends. It has to be a straightaway where these GT3s find those positions.
Yeah, it was very similar at Laguna, right? Laguna, the opportunity for the GT3s to get a clean overtake was on corner exit, not necessarily on corner entrance. Just because the acceleration that those higher horsepower engines end up bringing, um, it just allows them to, power out of that corner a lot faster than those MX5s.
Yeah, I realized that I might as well share a little MX5 setup for the guys since I'm in one. I forgot that we can do that for them.
Oh yeah,
But that MX5 setup comes from Small Crime himself.
yep. I think that one's been passed around quite a bit, uh, and there's just a ton of very minor modifications that some people make to them to just increase the stability of the cars.
Yeah.
I know Small Crime likes to have his car a little bit more on the edge, and some of our rookies get a little bit uncomfortable with that. I know I used to, but once you get used to driving those setups, those cars, and getting fast with it, it's it's really satisfying when you get it right.
Yeah, I have always been a big fan of the loose on rails setup. Uh, Particularly the Macau one that floats around from the early days. I use that on a lot of our tighter circuits. But anything that really lets you swing the car around, but still gives you a point of recovery, has been phenomenal. But yeah, I'm just thankful that these tires can last forever, man. Because
Oh
I
yeah,
would
for
say if
sure.
there were soft tires on these cars, I don't know that I could last a whole 20 minutes, and someone could probably pull that advantage off.
Maybe we should add a tire mod to our Miatas and give them some compound choices.
I'm sure someone out there has added that.
Yeah, we'll just put on the F1 C0 through C6.
Yeah.
Get those pink walls on.
Yeah, extra grip, same size as the F1 tire, so they'll just clip through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep. Honestly, that wouldn't be too bad of an idea. It would bring some interesting characters to the track. I mean, obviously not the F1 compounds, but
No, no, but
maybe pulling the GT3 tires onto those MX5s, getting some slicks on them.
yeah, I mean, I think the hards are. I mean, if we've got hards, I'd say we could just go for the easy route. Just figure out a set of mediums and a set of softs. Like figure out what their characteristics are based off of and go from there.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I
look
mean,
at that.
I don't think it would be too difficult to get that modded in. Maybe it's something we can look at going into season 9 here.
Yeah, yeah. Season, yeah, wow, 9. That is crazy. 8 does kick off next week. It'll be
Yep.
another usual or our new usual 5-week season. I forgot. Oh, wow, tremendous speed difference there from
Yeah,
less than Kindle.
that's one of the corners that, or the bus stop there is going to be one of the locations that, as people get used to it, they'll realize that you don't really need a brake through there. Just a little bit of a lift. You can tap the brakes if you want just a little bit of rotation, a little bit of stability, but you want to be on power when you hit those curves. Otherwise, the front end will dip down and it'll unsettle the car a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not something that you want to experience because you will feel that weight distribution, or I guess lack thereof, once the car gets tossed around. Trying to get a fair look around at some of these MX5s here, see what they've got going on the grid, but it does seem to be the GT3s who are looking for their hot laps currently. So it is hard to ignore them, and we got a nice little pack of 3 of them here. Tater trying to catch up to Mahatma Gandhi, and I want to say that's Aronk up ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been exciting this week seeing all the people on the tracks. There's definitely been a lot of fun had just with this added chaos of the mixed grids. Obviously, it's not something that we could put a full season together on. It's a little bit too chaotic unless we go with some bigger tracks. But I
Bigger
could definitely
tracks and
see,
tighter rules.
yeah, I could definitely see introducing more of these multi-class style races to our Wildcard Wednesdays. Maybe drawing a little bit more of a crowd. They've just been a lot of fun both to drive in and to watch.
Yeah, it's certainly been a lot of fun to just from a broadcast perspective, and all of these multi-class events that we've done recently, even these endurance ones have been real fun to watch, seeing all the different speeds as everybody swings by. Wow, look at that. I didn't even realize people had some of the customized boots on here too, so you can see the Dark Lounge race team livery has there, pit crew there. Trying to see if we've got any others. Oh, Lockett's race
There's Lockett.
car. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Minnesota
Minnesota
Wild.
Wild.
Yeah. A lot of stock, but not all stock. I'm sure
Yep.
the GT3s will have a few. That looks stock. That doesn't look stock, but I'm not sure exactly what that one would be from. I know that one's Patchy's Duckham's Porch. The Gulf one, wow, that's phenomenal. Gotta
Yeah.
love that. Is that Porsche out on the grid right now? Oh, it is. Oh, we gotta go. Hold on a minute. We gotta take a look at that. Oh yeah, look at that.
It's such
Talk
a
about
clean
classic
livery.
ones, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, so clean. A lot of these liveries, I mean, people put the persona into them, right? They show how creative they are, they show their interests, they show their other hobbies in their livery designs. But there's just something about clean and classic. It's just something that'll never get old.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who's made a fair amount of liveries, obviously at an amateur stage, you look at something like this and get borderline frustrated because it's so simple, so neat, and it's a million times better than any livery I will ever make for anybody. And it's just iconic, you know?
Yeah, definitely. There's a ton of fun to be had in these. And it's just really interesting to see everybody's creativity as they go in and make the
Big crash into the wall there from Perry. Looks like a smashed windshield, so I'm sure they'll be heading into the pit shortly. Get that one swapped out. Only 54 seconds left in the practice session here, and then the real fun begins. We head over to the qualifying session. The clouds clear out a little bit. We get a little bit more wind, probably. Well, I guess a new fresh batch of wind. It could be less wind, but the tires are going to get warmer, and the competition is really going to rise. We'll see elbows out on Watkins Glen very shortly here. So stick with us as the last couple cars are coming around, trying to make it through in time for just one more lap. It's going to be close for a lot of them.
yeah, and I do expect a few additional people to show up as the night goes on, right? Qualifying hasn't started yet, so I do expect there to be some more.
And it's funny, after watching these GT3s, it almost feels like these MX5s are just crawling. I almost asked you if he was flat out, but I forgot we do have, you can see in the bottom left corner of the screen, he is. This is Superbus at max capacity trying to get around. Now, I will say the choice of gear might be a little different than our usual. So with no disrespect in mind, we're going to take a look at the speed. All right, you know what? I will say this does look a little bit more like what I was expecting. So perhaps Superbus just dialing in a couple more things with the gear ratios and trying to get ready for tonight's event, you know?
Yeah. So one thing to note is that if you're in fourth gear going into the uphill there, if you're in fourth gear at about 120 miles an hour, or 102 miles an hour, your You're
What a guy,
basically
Steve.
capped out in fourth. If you manage to get to that 102 before you hit that uphill, before you start to turn in, or as you start to turn in, it is actually more efficient to shift up to fifth because it will bring you up to about 107, 108 miles an hour at the top of the hill. Whereas if you stay in fourth, it'll keep you around 103, 104.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I definitely have experienced that in a race. Had a worse turn one than I expected, and then all of a sudden realized I wasn't going to be able to make that shift into fifth like I was hoping for. Let's take stock now as a couple more racers coming around. Doesn't seem like Bot Lando's going to be having a hot lap. I'll check in with Left Sync Handle, who is trying while I take a quick count. Looks like we've got 3, 6, 7 MX5s out of a grid of 18. So pretty relatively even split as we continue further into the night. Everyone's doing a good job of keeping this balanced as they join in. And
Yeah,
as
it
I
looks
say
like
that,
Dean's joining in
our
now.
another GT3 joins to throw it off a little bit more. Thanks a lot, Dean.
Yeah, that's all good though. We have more MX5s this time around than we did in the EU race, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do have some additional later joiners to jump in with the MX5 later on. I know Brett was talking about how he was going to try to join, but he couldn't guarantee that he'd be here. So
Yeah, I know Brett typically has a few obligations in the family department, as most do.
yep.
I will say that is the one thing a lot of you guys have probably noticed. This is one of the bigger grids we've had since the summer began. And to be honest with you, I'm sure the season will kind of go a little bit the same, but summers get a little bit interesting, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, and it's starting to get towards the end of summer where all the summer programs and stuff are wearing down. So with that, I mean, the school programs are starting back up. We might have a little bit more turnout during the main events. Um, but we do usually have that summer lull where our summer season is a little bit less uh, eventful. It looks like Steven decided to ditch the iRacing event to come hang out with us. Thanks, Steven.
Yeah, I did notice that gotta have that classic commentary. We always have fun here at the Real Rookie events, and you can count on at least some solid lap 1, 2, probably 3, 4, maybe even 5, 6, 7. What are we thinking? 8, 9, and 10 chaos here. I don't know. Did you get to 10? I think it was 9.
I'd say probably about 700.
Yeah.
So.
So however
we'll,
many
we'll
laps
really
we do
see.
tonight, that's how many laps of chaos we're gonna end up with, I think, in total.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah. There was I think there was about 12 in the EU race. It would have been, I think it's 10 races, 10 or 11 laps for the MX5s, and then the GT3s get like 12 or 13. So
well,
the time difference isn't nearly as much here. The front runners will probably lap the MX5s 2, maybe 3 times.
that's not bad.
But it is about a 20 to 25-second lap time difference between the front runners of the GT3s and the front runners of the MX5s. So I'd expect some of the MX5s, once they get their bearings, to be putting up around 207s, 208s was, I believe, what we saw at the fastest laps that we were setting. But on average, I think some of our rookies are going to be putting up 210s, 212s. Meanwhile, the front runners like Speed Bump and Dean are probably going to be putting up like 145s in these GT3s.
That is not too shabby. That's going to be pretty entertaining for sure. Speaking of entertaining, our qualifying session has begun. So just to recap, the weather's slowly changing right now, so we're still dialing things in. It happens over the course of, I believe, the first 2 minutes. Autocam wants to kick me off the hijack. Oh, by the way, Josh, I learned something finally that might be useful for us. I think
Oh yeah.
it's Hold on, let's see if I remember. Oh, fuck. Nope, I fucked it up. Okay, hang on. There you go. Nope. There it is. Okay, it's F6. But look, I figured out how to switch to onboard.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we could jump to some onboards for some wheel to wheels now, and then jump right back.
Every now and then it'll take, you know, a couple of years to figure out all the key lines eventually.
You know, I always rediscover them, and I tend to rediscover them live on broadcast. So if you were to watch back our 100 and something live broadcasts, you could definitely find multiple clips of me learning the same keybind over and over again.
Oh yeah, I'm sure of that. Looks like Speed Bump managed to end up in his own livery tonight, which is super cool.
Yeah, that is, again, nobody was allowed to sign up prior to the event, so that was completely randomly given. And it does seem like the server may have chosen him a little bit because Speed Bump is on a tear tonight. We have been watching an absolute domination.
Yeah, he's always got the pace. He's always a front runner, but he does tend to get caught up in some incidents. So we'll see what happens throughout the course of the race. In the EU race earlier today, he managed to jump in as well, but he didn't set a quali lap. So he started at the back of the field and ended up in some quick chaos at the beginning. I think he still fought his way up to a podium position during that first race.
So we're looking for redemption.
Oh yeah, he's looking to send a message this time around.
Very nice. Well, for those who don't remember from Monday's event, it is a true reverse grid that will be going on here. So these guys are going to have to work their way through the MX5s by the end. And I think that's going to be or to start race 2. And that's going to be where things get very, very interesting. But obviously race 1 will still be a fun one.
There was a little bit of an oddity that happened with the EU race today, and I'm not sure if how it happened, but the GT3s ended up being a reverse grid, but the MX5 started at the back with the same starting order without the reverse. So we'll see what happens this time around.
Did they?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened because they have the same configuration as the race we had on Monday at Laguna.
Yeah, and it says all will be reversed. I just double checked, but interesting. Unless one of the EU admins sneaky it in there.
I mean, I guess you can log in and check out the configuration here quick and see if that one ended up being different.
Oh yeah. Ooh, a nice save there from Bot Lando. Really working the tires. You can see he's actually on the mediums. I did forget to try and change over.
Yeah, Bot Lando, our Panamanian driver, just coming to send a message in GT3s. He was in the MX5s earlier. He placed P2 in both races. Splitting me and Potato on both times around. So it'll be a good one for him. Jumping in the GT3s this time around.
Lando's definitely been holding up some pretty good pace in this Porsche too, working down towards, I want to say, the 46s at the end of practice there. So showing that they've got the pace to be competitive as well. I mean, you don't need to be right there. You just need to be kind of within, let's say like 6/10 is enough for a mistake or two, you know, along the way. And the odds of anybody being able to keep their top lap time once the grid gets spread and the MX5s scatter around the field, it's going to start to get lower and lower. So consistency is going to be a bit more important.
Oh yeah, definitely. The biggest thing right now is if they can get clean, if they can get a gap ahead of them, all you have to do is to stay alive, right? Especially in the MX5s. You don't have to push, you just have to stay safe. So if a GT3 is coming out, going for a dive into the hairpin, because they're just so much faster on this track than the MX5s. At Laguna, there were some corners where the MX5s took the corners just as quick. But on this track, the GT3s definitely have the hand up. And really, it's going to be all about safety and, you know, taking that wider line where you won't lose as much time as if you get punted. So
Right. Now we did see Superbus there, struggling with the bus stop. Again, that is going to be the big moment of truth for the evening. But speaking of moment of truth, I did see, I believe, well, I'm seeing Kiegolski join and then leave. Oh, and looks like he's joined back one more time here. So Kia settling on the MX5 for tonight.
Oh
So
yeah,
I think
Kiage
that's
is
going to be
a
interesting.
demon on this track with the MX5. Kiage being one of our controller players, coming representing Venus Motorsport, and just absolutely a menace on these tracks. He's just a demon.
Yeah, it looks like there was a moment of consideration for that Z4. I saw the contemplation in form of joining with it, but immediately backed out, went back to Old Faithful, and that's going to be very interesting for this MX5 grid as those guys still looking to get below 210. We know Kia is capable of hitting that 207 we saw on the EU board.
Yeah, and it looks like Seb actually just passed Speed Bump's time in the GTR. So
Yeah, we did see Seb breaking into those 145s during the practice session, so he's the first one to have gotten back to it. We'll check in with Speed Bump, but yeah, they're off at the moment. They're going to need to work their way around a little bit more traffic to build a pocket. I see at least one MX5, looks like two MX5s in front of them. The second one going to be heading in to turn 8 currently.
yeah, looking at where he is on the track right now, it may end up being beneficial this spread in front of him. There is some pretty decent gaps. It does take about 5 laps to lap the car with the GT3s, so it looks like he might be in a good position to pick up some of these guys on the straight. And in front, the car in front of him, there's actually about a half a track distance, so he might have clean air for the rest of the lap once he gets past this guy.
Yeah, as long as
It really
nobody cuts
depends.
into the pits right now. Oh, as we say that, Project Purple looking to move out. Project Purple, though, going to be in a GT3. So if they get out of the pits quick enough, that won't affect Speed Bump too poorly. And they are out. So Speed Bump should be okay there. It really comes down to the MX5s now. Where is Speed Bump going to end up having to take the pass on Clammy here? And it looks like it'll
Yeah,
be
it
in a
looks like
decent
it's gonna be
spot.
good.
Pushes that outside line just a little bit, loses a couple hundredths, which at this stage is going to hurt mentally, but got about a second to shave off based on what their personal best was in the practice time. So I'm
Yeah,
thinking we'll see
and
that
just
right here.
thinking about the line there, taking that wider line, he may have lost a couple hundredths taking that line, but he may have gained a little bit of extra top speed on the straight just with that little bit of acceleration distance that he gained.
Yeah, and I'm looking to see where he's missing all that time. I mean, a second difference from his practice session time is a big one. So I'm really curious to see.
He
Oh,
must have
looks like
ran
on
into
the
some
toe.
traffic right in here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. A huge shift
there's
in the
about
delta.
210. And he must have ran into some more MX5s up here. It looks like he is closing in on the number 5 car, which is Project Purple. But he's in a GT3, so he shouldn't catch him.
Yeah, and oh, it looks like Big Justice loading in the MX5 Cup to give Kia a little bit of a run as well. So we haven't seen the man from across the pond yet this week, but on the NA side of things, but it looks like he'll be blessing us with his presence.
Yeah, we had a ton of fun on Touring Tuesday with some of those Venus guys joining up. And
Oh, Speed Bump
Big Justice
finds it
joining up.
all. Sorry to interrupt you there, but Speed Bump does find it all and throws down a 45.5 to overtake Seb Bellew with 20 minutes remaining of qualifying. You were
Yeah,
saying?
we'll see if some of the other GT3s can throw up a time here. We know that some of these guys did manage to get down to those low 46s, high 45s. We'll see if they can bring it back.
We're on board now with Kia Golski making their way through the laces. Kia, the one with one of the two late joiners that we're interested to see on our MX5 grid. Big Justice in the number 66 car. The other, I want to say that's the Cheesy UK, one of the EU drivers, not Parmesan, believe it or not, from the early season. Great plate. Yeah, it is a great plate. Fair enough.
His Lockett's livery is super iconic as well. It's been a while since we've seen him around. I'd love to see him back on the track sometime.
Yeah, I mean, this was the first ever MX5 champion livery on the server. And I think he was racing under the name Hardcastle McCormick for that season, which was awesome. It was just like that whole season was great. I want to say Hardcastle's name and info is somewhere on the livery, maybe on the racer itself. But Kia will cross the line, not having set a clean lap.
I think that was
there you go. Yeah.
That shows Delta at -30. So.
Well, it was the first hot lap. It finally did catch up, though. Kia goes on the board with a 2:09.3. I think I was looking at the wrong point as far as the start-finish line. You don't know, say, but some say. I'll jump over to Big Justice and see they're definitely on their outlap now. And the Fatal Racer. Oh, how about that? Talk about old names. Fatal was one of our, we'll say, original design people. There's a handful of liveries, including the basic Real Rookie Racing livery. And this was a variation of it that everybody in the first season has their own version of on the server. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's where our brown livery comes from as well. So the livery that was designed with, if nobody gave us a name, number, and color for their car.
I haven't seen the unresponsive hit the track just yet, but I am certainly eager for it. I will say now at this point we've got 23 on the grid.
Yeah, it looks like Zach Brown joined. It's been a while since we've seen him on the track. And Chloroform jumped in the GT3 as well.
Yeah, now I will say Zach Brown driving a Mercedes, is that a hint of things to come for future F1 seasons? We'll have to find out.
I wouldn't be surprised.
McLaren with Mercedes engine.
Everyone with the Mercedes engine.
That's it. Whole grid.
Just make it a spec series.
We now have Big Justice rolling down here in the number 66. I mean, we've been watching for a while, but that is the pace of these MX5s here around Watkins Glen. Just trying to see where they come up with on the board for their first hot lap. This is going to be a telling one to see what they can just pick up kind of out of nowhere. As I think the balance has shifted. I think we got a lot more MX5s than we do GT3s now.
Well, let's get a countdown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 MX5s.
Okay.
It would be 13 GT3s. So we do have a much more even split in the NA grid than we did in the EU side. We saw the same thing on Monday as well. Seems like a lot more people happy to drive the slower cars on the NA side of things.
I see. Now, I'm noticing the sun is starting to get a little low here. Did I do the thing? Was the race in the dark?
No, the race was daylight. It does get dark for the last probably 5 to 10 minutes of qualifying.
You sure it doesn't get dark at the end of the race? Because it says the race starts at 5 p.m.
It gets dusk.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it gets dark.
All right. Well, this track at least seems like it has lights, so I think we'll be okay.
It has a few.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
There's a couple of spots where it gets kind of hard to see, but mainly at the end of the boot is where it's the darkest.
Yeah, Daniel, it's sorry that we won't have you here tonight, but certainly will be good to see you when you come back for the seasons. I'm gonna go see where they went. Did they just? I'm confused.
It took a wrong turn.
Yeah, but
There's actually a wall over there, so you can't go all the way through.
oh, like invisible wall or wall?
A wall.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
There's barriers up.
And I was gonna say, I'm very confused. Nice
A
little
little bit of a wiggle.
maneuver there from Brendan Diaz to avoid that.
I do know that some of the track limits on this track are a little bit more forgiving. Probably for the best, because of the overspeed in the carnage. It allows for a little bit faster pace, high speed racing on this type of a circuit. So
Yeah, a race like today, you definitely need a touch of leniency. Now, the nice thing about this is that leniency only really extends to the curves. You can't really go full NASCAR line in most spots on this track, one or two exceptions, but those one or two exceptions do tend to lend themselves to where most of the big collisions happen. So nothing that we're concerned about. It'll help more than it'll hurt.
oh yeah, for sure. And there's no it will invalidate laps if you abuse them too much, but there is enough leniency so that you can go around a car that's potentially taking a slower line. So
Yeah, which is always good to see. Now, I'm just taking a look. I see Speed Bump, Project Purple, and Seb Value have all made their way into the 45s. Gandhi very close, probably will be the next one to do so. Botlando, Diaz, and Big Dina Energy are all kind of battling it out in those 46s, and we're on board with Diaz at the moment. We're going to jump for just a minute, though, over to Kia Golski, because Kia might be looking to put even more time up here through this final corner and try and get closer and closer to that 207, I believe you were mentioning. Now, I do remember Big Justice and Kia, I think, had a little multi-class pushing going on, didn't they? In
yeah,
Monday's race?
in the EU race on Monday, Yage started towards the back, and Big Justice actually pushed him in his GT3 car all the way up to the front of the grid. So there was definitely a little bit of teamwork down and brought the fight up to the front, but there was a little bit of damage done to Kyage's car with that extra overspeed on the Miata that it's not designed for.
That is phenomenal. So we'll have to see if anybody dares to try that today. I know Speed Bump, a little bit friendly with those guys, might get a little bored up front with nobody can close that 4/10 gap that we're seeing. Now, again, like I said, a mistake will put him right back into the jaws if he keeps that pace consistent, even if he does keep that pace consistent. But he's starting to look a little comfortable up there, isn't he?
Oh yeah, a little bit of warm up and he'll be fighting at the front. We'll see if he can get through without getting just murdered, though. That's the name of the game here, is survive.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're taking a look at obviously some of these top lead times, but we are still keeping our eye around the grid as a whole. And there's a couple of other things going on that I do want to mention. So the big one right now that I've been trying to watch is Wasey. Wasey's been looking to creep back into that green delta. Hasn't done so in a little bit, but if they do, they'll be right back into those 211s, which puts them into the competition with Left Sync Handle and the Inferno. So a big lap is what Lacey's going to be looking for probably around on this one. Outside of that, we also have Clammy and Ty still working hard. Zach Brown looking for a lap still, along with Superbus and Perry. Superbus still struggling in that MX5 to bring it all the way around on a clean one, but looking to find some way through. Currently following Big Justice for a little bit of inspiration. Ooh, as Wasey takes beyond the NASCAR line. I think probably watching the mirrors to see what was going to happen with that GT3 behind them.
Yeah, I know in the afternoon race there was a few times where those GT3s coming up on you can get pretty spooky, just because they come up on you with so much speed on this track. Uh, Even on Laguna going into the Andretti hairpin, they had to slow down enough that your speed basically matched through the corner. But on this track, they can actually carry so much more speed than these MX5s through. Just some of these corners, it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, look at that through the chicane there.
Yeah, and it's like speed bump is just flying by comparison through some of those turns. It really, really does show that dominance the GT3s have, obviously, over the MX5, but what these guys have to try and deal with on the fly. We've got what looks like another GT3. Oh no, that's going to be an MX5 catching up. I was wondering why it was taking so long, but that's going to be Wasey still. A little bit further back. Trying to reset, 7.5 minutes to go, so still have plenty of opportunities to get back into those 211s. Kia though with a huge lead on the rest of the grid as we keep an eye over with Big Justice. I don't think this is going to be the lap for them, but anyway.
Looking at the light here, this is about what we're going to be expecting at the end of the race. So we're about 23 minutes in right now, and the start times are the same for qualifying in the race. So this is about as dark as it will get during the race session.
Okay, that's not too shabby then. Yeah, that's not a huge difference. We should be pretty spot on. So a little bit of lights could be useful, but not something that they need. Oh, wow, look at that little Brave MX5 dipping in there from Big Justice. Trying to send a message to the GT3 class.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the different VCs right now. It looks like they are in a voice chat together here, so.
Hanging out, Justice and Kia, you're saying?
Yeah, it looks like Chloroform, Kiage, Justice, and Thorn are all hanging out in the same voice chat together.
Oh, that's a dangerous one. So that means there could be some little bit of collusion going on as we've got Chloroform in the opposite class. He might be going for that push that some of these guys had giving each other on Monday.
Trying to keep the grids, or keep a fight going on when somebody falls behind. Can you imagine the push down these big straights?
I was just thinking that, man. Like, you could get this, you could launch an MX5 through the bus stop. You get the angle right, you don't even need to worry about the wall.
You just go straight through.
So worth noting, you guys haven't seen too much of it because we've been watching racers who have a little bit more open road in front of them, but there definitely has been some cross-class action and collisions going on. These guys have definitely had to be a little bit more on a swivel, a little bit more aware. I've caught glimpses of cars with damage moving by while we've been following the MX5s. These GT3s are taking a beating, having to take some alternative lines to get around the slower traffic. Always the exciting parts of these races.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun watching the mixed grid here. One thing that is super interesting is the Nissan, which is normally considered to be one of the boats of the MX5 or of the GT3 class, is actually P2 and P3 in qualifying right now.
Yeah, and Seb Bellew going for a big run. It looks like Seb gonna try and lay down a nice lap here. Didn't like the way that previous one was going, so literally slammed on the brakes to line themselves up for a freshie here. Now Seb is gonna know that Chloroform's not on a clean lap anymore, so you'll see a flash to pass coming up down the straightaway. And he gave him a little bit of a tow. So we'll see how that helps the man from up north as he dives into the bus stop chicane. Does lose a little bit of time, and you hear that BMW run into the sand. If I was a betting man, I think I'm going to say that Z4 just came in real hot around the corner and spooked
Yeah,
him.
it looks like Seb did end up getting a little wide there, so that would likely invalidate that lap. He did go a little past the curb, so we'll see if it counts, but I have a feeling that that lap time is going to be invalid, even if it is an improvement.
Yeah, and I do see a red sector 2, so that is going to be an invalidation there for the man up north. Now the Inferno on a hot lap of their own, but getting flashed by Brendan Diaz. Oh, and they sacrificed their own lap. Oh, I think that's actually going to be Zach Brown, maybe? Yeah, Zach Brown. So they sacrificed their own lap for Zach Brown to get around. And Zach does manage to put a time up. So it was not for naught. But with a 212, is that really all that necessary? Is another conversation.
Yeah. One thing to make note of is, while a flash is nice, right? But if our racers are also on a hot lap, they don't have to move out of the way. It's not their responsibility to jump out of the way. It's the responsibility of the faster car coming through to
Right.
make their way through cleanly. So
Yeah, hot lap is a hot lap. That's it was certainly a courteous move there by the Inferno, but that close to the edge and that close to getting into the 210s, it was a very noble move. Speaking of big moves, we do see Woohoo Man had crept up at the 209.469. Peeking in with Big Justice here seems to find their flow a little bit more, and we'll see if they can translate that into a big finish and try and catch up to Kia Golski, maybe split the difference between Woohoo and Kia with the big time right now. Although actually right now it looks like they're just trying to catch up to Woohoo. I think I'm doing the math wrong. Woohoo
yeah, it
really
looks
put
like
down a solid lap.
this current lap would put him right about on par. Maybe this final corner exit, maybe he can improve here, but looks like he's actually losing time. Looks like potentially Big Justice isn't gonna bring down the Justice this time around.
Yeah, he's got one more lap. He definitely came close to Woohoo's time, but did not give enough in the tank. And now they'll have a couple of GT3s starting to work their way through. Brendan Diaz, the actual Brendan Diaz this time, coming by. Lights off. I thought they were going to go for a flash situation, but they just turned the lights off. Oh, and into the wall they go. What an interesting chain of events here in
Get
the
out of the
final
way.
lap of qualifying. The things we see. And it did look like Kia had a hot sector too, but wasn't enough to see improvement on their time. Speed bump with a big sector 1. Not a huge sector 2.
Yeah, no improvement. But he is, or he was up slightly going into this sector. So I think he's about tapped out on what that car's capable of with that 45.5 in this current setup.
Yeah, he's definitely pushing that car to its limits. Even that last lap may have looked far off his pace, but it was still a 45.9, which is a pretty strong finish. I do see Kia Golski, of course, making use of the overtime. Gonna try and hammer through for one more big lap. Let's see what they're capable of as they try and round us off.
Looks like Big Justice might even be down on his normal lap. Without time to set another improvement, he might be starting P3 tonight.
Yeah, well, he's already had a cut on the lap in sector 2, so confirmed starting from the back there. Well, the back of the podium. And we'll see just what Kia can make of this. It's going to be a few big corners that it all comes down to.
You see Chloroform in the chat asking for a setup?
No, that's funny. If I could
The
share my
Tiade personal
Z4
best
setup, I
sector
would.
1, personal best sector 2. He's putting up a solid lap here.
Yeah, and this is going to be it. All comes down to the final straightaway. And of course, we are going to see improvement. And that looks like a 2:08. Damn, I really thought he was going to get into the sevens there.
Yeah, he was up 0.8 at one point on that lap. But he ended up actually going a little bit slower on this last one. He put up a 2:09.1 on that last lap. I'm really excited to see how this one pans out. There was some pretty nasty chaos at the start of the races in the EU grids. So
Yeah, and some of you may be asking why we paid so much attention to the MX5s here during the qualifying session, and it's because we know what's probably going to happen here in the race, and that is these GT3s are going to be a little bit more of the highlight, because although they might not be in the wheel-to-wheel action, man, is it fun to watch them try and break through a grid.
oh yeah, they'll definitely be the highlights, especially when it comes up on lap traffic about 8 minutes into the race.
Kia thought they were in the race. You heard me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kia thought that was the race and that they joined in. That is awesome. Well, leave it all on the track. No wonder Kia was pushing so hard there. So are we to assume that that was with a... Oh, he figured it's a practice session. Oh, okay. So maybe he was still like running fuel loads and stuff like that. So he might have some more in the tank. This is going to be a very interesting event, which we're only a minute and 30 seconds away from.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch. I fully expect some chaos at the start as people try to make those early moves, and then it'll be fun watching those MX5s trying to make their way through all of the spinning GT3s.
We should have just made this a night race. Would have been really funny.
In traditional real rookie fashion.
I think that's absolutely going to happen. And I don't know, man. I'm excited just to see how far we make it. I want to say we can make it through turn one. I want to say enough of these names look familiar from Monday and Wednesday's events to where they know now the type of chaos that can be at hand. Hopefully.
Yeah, but if you recall, race 2, the last time we were here in the Miatas, the spin came between turns 1 and 2. It didn't happen at the beginning.
That's true.
Preparing for that next turn.
That is absolutely true. And even going up to I keep wanting to call it Eau Rouge because it's Spa weekend, but even going up through the S's is going to be a very interesting time.
Yep. Always a fun one.
Always indeed. I'm just trying to read the chat as these guys are all just going back and forth here before the race begins. We're watching as the sun will rise and get closer to setting very, very quickly as we settle in for a 5 p.m. race start time here.
Yeah, we're speed running through the sun cycle, through the night, into the day.
So
and back to 5 p.m.
We do end up with a couple of guys on mediums, but all of the BMWs go for the softs. So that should kind of tell you everything you need to know. The GTR is also going for the softs. About 25 seconds, I'll run you through the grid. We've got Speed Bump, Project Purple, Seb Bellew, Botlando, Brennan Diaz, Gandhi rejoined, Big Dean Energy, Tater, Chloroform, Aaron K, Facon, Perry, all through the GT3 class. Then we've got Kia Gulski leading the MX5s, followed by Woohoo, Big Justice, the Inferno, Less Sink Handle, Thorn, Wacy, Clammy, Dylon, and Super Bus. But we are going to start things off here as we've got a Porsche parked in the back of the field, off to a very slow start in the GT3 class, but these guys thankfully are going to be able to separate a little bit from the MX5s before the chaos begins.
Immediately.
And I stand corrected. They are in a tricky spot now because the MX5 grid is going to have to get through before they can rejoin. But
one panic spin, but
Honestly, that might have been
everybody
best
else,
case scenario.
yeah, everybody looks to have made their way through cleanly, but now we get to watch these guys move their way back through this grid.
Yeah, and it does look like we had a little bit of bus stop chaos going on with some of the GT3s. It looks like Speed Bump, one of the cars that was caught in it as well. He gets pushed a little bit further back through the chicane, and we see chaos as the two GT3s, all three GT3s that were trying to get through lap traffic, catch up at the worst possible moment, find themselves trying to get by once more. We're going to jump on here with the Ferrari of Lee trying to work their way through the grid again here in lap one. They were almost through, and now they've got a big portion to go. Again, that difference in line coming in to
More
a
chaos.
danger, this time for Tater, it looks like. Ooh, as an MX5 goes Beyblading across the track. Thankfully, everybody able to avoid it for the time being. And who do we see down there with the panic spin? I think that's going to be Khan and Perry having a little bit of bumper to bumper action that goes sideways. So
Yeah, it's a situation here where people just need to exercise a little bit more patience than they are, and that's what's causing these is going for moves, risky moves early in the race. I know it's a sprint, but you just gotta wait for somebody else to make a mistake instead of forcing one upon yourself.
yeah, and
And now these guys
especially
have these hot tires.
right, and these GT3s are really trying to force their way through the MX5s. I mean, with how much faster you are than that car, waiting one more corner certainly is not going to hurt you. As we see the outcome of those decisions once more, and it is really costing a lot of chaos for some of these racers. This time, left sync handle forced to take a drive through just because of that contact.
I mean, in this situation, I don't know if that's such a bad thing. It'll allow him to cool his tires down a little bit, get a little consistency going, and have some open air and worry a little bit less about the chaos. We do see there is a couple groups of cars, and then the groups that are trying to force their way through and just getting caught up in these absolute just unnecessary spins here. We see another punt, a late break,
This time,
sending
Perry.
yeah, sending another car straight into the bus stop.
I don't know if you have the live timings set up, but it might be worth sending Leet and Perry a little caution message at this stage in the race.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop one in the chat here right now.
Yeah, just we definitely want to see things clean up a little bit if we can. Brendan Diaz now looking to catch up to Gandhi in front. We saw him dip within a second for just a minute. Almost was able to get there, but couldn't fully get into an attacking position. But they'll be looking through this final corner to see if they can get the acceleration. That Z4 does take some incredible speed through, though, so it's going to take a slight mistake on Gandhi's part, which does come. So Brennan will be able to line things up to get himself into drafting range through a very long section here. And it does not look like he was able to take full advantage of the opportunity, and he's going to sit just outside that half-second marker. So very, very close from the Mercedes here, but just unfortunately not close enough. We do see Big Justice getting passed by the GT3 of Facon Lee trying to get by. Speed bump, though, with a little bit of a collision, this time with Clammy in the MX5 class. Clammy now parked into the wall. He's going to have to wait a second because we got a car coming, but now he's got a nice open window to rejoin the grid. Little side-by-side action between the MX5s as the Inferno makes the move on Dylon, but will have to defend it around this next corner. And really carries through with significantly more speed. So ends up being a relatively easy move. We're going to take a look at Perry, who's trying to catch up to Big Justice in the MX5 and seemed to be losing Delta for a little bit. So that was actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's been some pretty not insignificant moments this race. So let's see if we can clean it up a little bit for the next one. I did put a message in the chat that there has been some unnecessary punts. We really just need to
Well, as
try and
Perry goes for a little
get this one
spin.
to settle down a little bit.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate, and we're only 5 minutes in, so it really has been a lot of action to watch over the course of those 5 minutes. And we almost missed out on a three-way battle, which Brendan Diaz removes himself from temporarily, turning it into a two-man between Aaron K and Gandhi a little bit further ahead. Gandhi seems to keep finding themselves the target here, but consistently working their way around the track here. So they're really relying on other people can't find that mistake. They're having to actually find a way by, which Big Dean
Yeah, it
Energy does.
seems like some of these guys are just pushing a little bit harder than they need to, trying to brake a little bit later, and it's been ending up causing a little bit too much chaos. We do have 2 cars in the pits now. We'll see if it stays that way. I know Peter had made a mention that he's going to sit out the rest of this race. Getting a little frustrated at the start with all that chaos, so we'll see what comes to the next one.
Yeah,
a little bit more chaotic than I was expecting.
it definitely was a little bit more chaotic than we thought it would be. However, it now is where the real interesting moments are going to begin as the lap traffic is starting. Brendan Diaz getting that spot back from Big Dean Energy, who tries to save it, but ends up facing the wrong way. He's going to have some very hot rear tires after forcing a quick spin, but manages to get back on the hunt nonetheless. We'll jump back to Kia Golski. Yep, they've got quite the big gap going at the moment, but I actually meant to jump a little bit further over to here to see how this whole interclass moment is going, but it actually doesn't look like it's going too poorly. As the GT3s get by cleanly and left sync handles still left having an opportunity at Dylon ahead. They do have one more car joining them for the moment. The Bot Lando Porsche in that number 3 Gulf livery being very, very patient as they lose just a little bit of time to some of the other cars on the grid. Kia Golski.
Yeah, but
sorry.
That shows just a knowledge of being around for a while with the rookies on the track, with the chaos on the track, and knowing what to expect and how to avoid it. Lando's been around since, oh geez, I don't know, probably season 1, season 2. He's been around for a long time.
I was going to say, have to be some of the very early seasons, as we're going to have another interesting moment here. This time 2 Z4s trying to swing their way by, and they do get by very cleanly. We're going to join them, though, as that's Speed Bump and Chloroform battling for position. Both racers trying to work their way into the podium spot. Speed Bump having set the fastest practice time in the practice qualifying time. Very determined to get as close to the top as he can over the course of this next 11 minutes. And he's already made quite the climb.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And a track like Watkins is a little bit easier on the tire. And even though these BMWs do have a very good use of tire, very good tire management in the car by itself, being on a track where there's significantly less tire wear than there was on Monday will be beneficial for these cars even more.
Yeah, now a nice little switchback move for both of them, keeping things clean as they hammer on through. But you can see on, or I can see on Speed Bump's Delta, I guess you guys can't too much, but he's actually half a second down on his personal best lap time currently. So this battle is costing them. They're going to have to make a decision at some point. And it doesn't seem like that point's going to come anytime soon. Speaking of big decisions, I do want to look back. We got some major battles going on in the MX5 class, but yeah, Speed Bump and Chloroform.
Also not up to Project Purple as well.
Yeah, it seems like everybody wants to give us a run for our money right now. Looks like there's a big old pack of MX5s ahead, and that's what is leading to a big battle in front and leads to a little bit of chaos as we do see, I think, Project Purple off to the side a little further ahead.
Yeah, see collisions with quite a few different cars. It looks like everybody's still moving though.
Yeah, it seems only Project Purple may have really had the misfortune in that time. Oh, as Project drops back another position. Let's
He
jump.
dropped two there. We got chloroform and speed bump both made it past, which puts Project Purple from
Oh no,
second
look at the
position all
steering
the way down
angle
to
wheel.
fifth.
Severe suspension damage. If you look in the bottom left of the screen, you can see when they're going straight, that wheel's at almost a 45-degree to the right, like facing angle right now. They're going to pull in to try and get that repaired. Very unfortunate. And we'll see where that ends up. That's going to take a long time to repair.
And we see chloroform going deep, which gives speed bump the advantage up on this straight. Chloroform will dip into the toe of speed bump's car here. And potentially gain him going into that bus stop. Maybe we'll see some more side by side like we did in the last lap.
And these two are making things very interesting. Neither one giving the other much breathing space, as Chloroform has switched this position back a couple of times. So I don't want to say it's over, but I do think we at least have a moment to check in on this Thorn, Woohoo Man, and Big Justice battle that's been happening not too far behind them, and see exactly where this one's all going to shake up. These three races have been close together the entire time we've been watching that speed bump and chloroform battle shake out. So that will be interesting to watch. Worth noting, Seb Bellew only has one more MX5 to pass before they've got about a third of the track of just open space. So that's going to be a very big moment for them. They're going to have a big chance to run away here.
Yeah, we do see Project Purple did manage to make his way out of the pits again here. Hopefully with those repairs. So.
And they do still come out inside of the top 10, which, there's only 10 GT3, but still, two other GT3s did end up retiring this race. So that is a very strong performance from Purple. Oh, as Woohoo Man
has a moment.
Yeah, big moment there with the wall. That's not going to be the way that I think Thorne was looking to get the position, but unfortunately that is how it goes down. We're going to look a little bit further up the grid, though, because it seems Brendan Diaz actually starting to close in on Mahatma Gandhi a little bit, who's worked his way all the way up into P5.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where the consistency is ruling out over the raw pace on this track. While Speed Bump and Chloroform and Botlando and Seb have been putting up these lightning laps, I mean, we did see early on Speed Bump got caught up in chaos going into that bus stop chicane, and there has just been a major fight that he had to bring back. He's still 15 seconds off from his starting position here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely unfortunate. Let's jump over to Superbus, though, who finds themselves, I was going to say, on the side of the track in a tricky spot, but handles it well and manages to continue onward. This time, though, they do get passed by Clammy, so they're going to be trying to get up to speed quickly and catch back up to the rest of the grid. We'll jump over a little bit further to Aaron K, who's trying his best to work his way through the grid and catch up to Big Dean Energy in front. So Project Purple does have a long way to go.
Looks like we did lose one of the GT3s again with a car retirement here. It looks like Perry did end up dropping out of the race as well. So.
With respect, that might clean things up a little bit in race 2 there. With respect.
Right.
Aaron K now.
A little additional chaos added, some newer faces on the grid, and maybe some people not used to these cars. So.
Yeah, I mean, this multi-class action is one hell of a way to experiment the real rookie race treatment. And, unfortunately, it does seem like Perry was struggling with that one here. I see a little bit of collisions here between Kiagolski and Clammy. Both cars seem to be continuing forward though, so I don't think it's anything malicious, just maybe a little bit of rubbing his racing as Seb Bellew trying to work his way past a few more MX5s. Yeah, this lap traffic is not slowing Seb down. That 11-second lead is a comfortable one as we are well inside the final 5 minutes of the race here. It's got to feel
Yeah,
nice.
Seb is managing this traffic super well. He's handled it. He's avoided the chaos. He's just making it look easy.
And now we're on with Wasey, who is currently getting lapped by a couple of GT3 cars with a broken windshield. So I can't imagine this is the easiest experience that they've had, but they're doing a good job of hugging the inside to allow for some of those faster class cars to get by smoothly. They get a little bit too close to the wall though, and it is starting to slow them down significantly along through the back straight.
Yeah, ironically, when you clicked over to Wasey there, I didn't see any steering wheel on the telemetry app there.
That was the first time I've ever seen that. I noticed that. Maybe that's like a mouse and keyboard thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because I believe even Kia's does.
Yep. Yeah, because it's just a telemetry interface, so it should show steering angle regardless. So I'm not sure what's going on with that one. Must be some bug or something.
Yeah. But speaking of bug, Woohoo Man being one to Thorn, only 0.2 seconds away.
And Brett did manage to join us for race 2. He's gonna get out there and do some warm-up laps in the traffic. So he'll be here for the second race in that MX5.
Very
Hopefully
nice.
bring some fight to Kiage.
Very good. Yeah, we'll see. And now that Big Justice is through, he's been catching up a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see in race 2 how those guys battle when they have to get through a reverse grid together. But Woohoo Man getting the inside edge on Thorn. Gonna have to go for a dive here. Both racers end up taking the NASCAR line. So I don't think anyone's going to be too upset with the pass overall, as it didn't seem like anyone was making it by. Big potatoes, if you are Tater, given your circumstances, I will give you credit for the one of the races tonight. If you do have to leave and you don't want to wait until the checkered flag, obviously you experienced quite a lot. Thorn though going to be looking to get that one back. We got a minute and 30 seconds left. I'm taking a look to see that was Seb Bellew who goes flying by them. And I'm thinking he's going to make it around. So I think they've got one more lap after this to keep this battle going and to figure out who's going to finish on top. Brendan Diaz within 1 second to Gandhi for P5. So we'll be keeping an eye on that one as well. Thorn, though, down the inside lane through the laces. Going to turn this into a shootout heading towards the toe. But I think Woohoo's going to be a little bit better poised, so Thorn will have to set something up for the next straightaway.
Yeah, one of the things with these MX5s is one little slip up can close those 1-2 second gaps. One tiny mistake can close those down just because they can't accelerate out if they over slow through a corner.
Yeah. Now, while Thorn tries to line up another opportunity, Tater, just to run you through the giveaway, the way it works is everybody who joins the race gets 1 ticket. The race winner gets a 2nd ticket. And the last car on the lead lap, so however many laps the winner does, the last place car out of that lap number gets an additional ticket, because we consider that like the rookie winner, sort of. And speaking of rookie moments, that is a terrifying one to have to deal with, trying to battle your rival through a tight corner with a GT3 barreling down, but Thorn and Woohoo managed to do it, as 2 racers who have been on our grids for a while. So I guess calling them rookies might not be fair at this point.
Yeah, and they're on our final lap here, so we'll be able to see some hopefully exciting races going on between these two.
Yeah, and keep in mind this is for P3 in the MX5 class. It is the final podium spot, and neither one is letting up. We do see that Brendan Diaz and Gandhi having a little side-by-side battle of their own, just slightly further up the grid. But this one right here is for the position. It's where it all comes down to. Worth noting, Seb Bellew coming around the toe now, so he is definitely going to be wrapping things up pretty soon. And lap traffic going to make things interesting for these guys once more as Chloroform comes around with not a lot to gain. I wonder what he's going to make of this opportunity. He knows these guys are having a tight battle ahead, and being an experienced racer, he's not going to want to interfere with a final lap battle.
I was kind of expecting a little bit of shenanigans there. I was thinking maybe Chloroform would sit behind since he is in that voice chat with Thorn, and give him a little bit of a push there.
Yeah, now the advantage of this is these guys are eventually getting to the point where right behind them is the battle between Brendan Diaz and Gandhi. You can see it just a little bit further back on the grid. So we've got two battles shaking it out through these final corners here. It looks like both racers trying to line themselves up. Brendan Diaz looking for the inside lane here, but loops back in. Same goes for Thorn. They're both biding their moments. I think they're going to look for it into the final corner. Brendan Diaz trying to pull alongside for the side-by-side action. That's going to make things interesting between the two GT3s in the back. And, oh, there's chaos there. Brendan Diaz turns into more than a Beyblade. Oh, and that's going to take Thorn out as well. So Thorn now rolling backwards, trying to just finish, and shifts it into reverse. Respectfully, I get it. That was probably the only thing you can do in that situation, as they try and just get there.
So there he goes.
Thorn does cross the line in what can only be described as an unfortunate way to end that lap. Aaron K in the Porsche going to be the next GT3 across the grid, and we'll swing.
Something happened to Seb, who was comfortably out in the lead. Lando ended up taking P1.
Seb ran out of gas.
Oh, he had to coast his way across the line.
Seb had a
0.8 of a second.
55.79 P or sector 3, as I guess Seb Bellew ran out of gas.
Unfortunate.
If there's any way, do you think anyone could get us a replay of that real quick?
You can actually pull up the replay, but I would wait until this is done. Wait until every car's finished so it doesn't interrupt your replay save.
Oh yeah, but then I gotta leave, right?
No. If you open your start menu, you can load up your replay within this game.
Okay. I see.
As long as the auto start's not overriding it.
Oh, it might. Yeah, I have my auto start on. All right, everybody's crossed the line, so I'm gonna take a stab and see. Which one is that, Seb?
Yeah, that's Seb.
Yeah, there you go, perfect. Oh yeah, so you see, quite literally runs out of gas and just forced to roll across the line here in the final moments, and it really comes down to the end, as you see Lando just barely cross.
Yep.
That is an interesting way to go. Oh, of course, we're in the noob racer. That makes me feel good. Well, that is certainly unfortunate for Seb Bellew, but we head into our second race and final race of the 3,000 member event. Of course, an exciting time to have everybody that was joining us here. Gonna do a little premature thank you to everybody just for being a part of it. And for those who didn't see the announcement, the live drawing will be during the MX5 broadcast for season 1 on Monday night. I believe on the Tech League broadcast stream, but those details will come.
I'll stream it to both channels on Monday.
So. Oh, perfect. There you go.
And tune in either spot.
Yeah. So the way we'll end up doing it is we're gonna put obviously all the raffle tickets into like an automated RNG spin system, and Willie will pull all of the winning tickets, and then out of the winning tickets we will pull the winner, and then we'll pull the whatever. Basically we'll narrow down the prize pool until we have our winners. Here we go. We're getting ready for race 2. We're letting AutoCam take us through the grid a little bit, but man, it goes a little bit too slow because we are only on Dylon. But we ended up with Superbus, Clammy, Wacy, Titan Law, Inferno, Left Sync Candle, Thorn, Woohoo Man, Big Justice, Kia, Project Purple, Aaron K. Superbus gets a false start. Big D Energy, Chloroform, Speed Bump, Sebastian Bot, Lando Tater, Falcon, and Brett Anderson. But we are immediately off to some chaos as all the GT3s go spinning into Beyblades, with the exception of 2, who now have to work their way through the MX5 grid in turn 1, which they surprisingly managed to do very, very cleanly, and they get by. But our GT3 grid, on the other hand, still trying to get things shaken up and moving, as we see 3 of them still haven't even left the starting straight. That's going to be Speed Bump, Facon, and Big Dean Energy, still trying to get moving. We're going to jump back over here, though, to the MX5 pack, as those guys are soon going to get caught up by some of these GT3s, who thankfully for these MX5s are finally a little bit split up. So that might make it a little bit easier here in our second race.
Having them spread out may definitely be a benefit for the MX5s here. We do see that these guys are still grouped up a ton, so.
Yeah, much cleaner and tighter by the MX5 class this time around. It's the GT3s that really struggled on the pace. They're trying to find their way through the MX5s, but at this stage, they are not lapping traffic. So these MX5s are still battling them for position, as funny as it sounds. Oh, and a very interesting moment shows you just how much heavier those GT3 cars are than the MX5s, as we see, I want to say, Wacy go spinning off into the wall, and Brendan Diaz borderline unmoved. We're going to jump up a little bit further, though, to Big Justice trying to chase down the Inferno for the lead of the MX5s, as Brendan Diaz gets by to join in with the top 7 GT3s. Facon, Big D Energy, Speed Bump, all still looking to get their way through. Speed Bump went back to pits to fix his damage early, and it looks like it actually may have helped him out because he's not that far behind, all things considered.
I think he teleported immediately off the line when the issues happened at the start.
As Big Justice and the Inferno going to go down for a shootout here for the lead in that MX5 class. You see a big grid behind them. Now all those GT3s coming through the woodworks. Oh, and it looks like Facon tries to move over a little bit too early, clips Big Dean Energy in the process, and now has another Z4 alongside them to worry about. That's going to be Speed Bump, heavy on the pace. So we're going to jump forward a little bit and see how this one goes. Speed Bump trying to find a line through, and it's going to have to get a little bit creative based on what we've been seeing here.
Yeah, there's definitely some different braking points, different comfort level in these cars. but it looks like Speed Bump does manage to bide his time and make his way through.
Yeah, and for those who aren't too familiar with some of the ins and outs of the racecraft there, Speed Bump did a little bit of a fake out that caused Falcon to take more of a defensive line and a defensive braking line and throw him off his usual routine. So that was a planned overshoot by the car behind, and a very well executed one as Speed Bump continues on trying to work his way through the GT3 grid. Big Dean Energy going to look for another line on Falcon, this time hoping for a little bit more success. As you can see, the damage and that Plum Pursuers from their last time meeting, but this time Big Dean gets by and will be able to carry on cleanly. Kiagolski now looking for his side-by-side battle with the Inferno in his quest for big justice, and wow, he gets it a clean line through. But it won't be over yet. The Inferno hanging right onto the heels there. Kia's going to need a big exit out of one of the final turns. Obviously, I'm forgetting which one here. Give me a minute. Turn 10. There we are. To hold off the draft and start to work towards big justice. We do see a little bit of a crash further back. It looks like Woohoo Man and Time with a collision. So that's going to create a new bunch here all the way up to P16 from P20. Superbus involved in the mix in that Minnesota wild card, getting hit with the broadcaster's curse. So we're going to leave them alone for a minute, let them get reset. As Wasey and Time now trying to catch back up to the two in front.
I think it looks like Brett has made his way up quite a ways. From the back of the pack, he is now currently P1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the MX5s. Exciting to see. He is bringing some pace, putting up some solid lap times in here.
Yeah, definitely bringing a lot of pace. We're trying to keep an eye on two solid MX5 battles, though, going on at the same time, as everybody seems to want to be competitive. Time and Wasey really clinging on here as they try and fight each other more than catch up to the grid at hand. Not always a bad thing, but at some point you definitely want to get a little bit more competitive. Aaron K having a little bit of a slip up gives Falcon the opportunity to get by and try and catch up to Speed Bump a little further on the grid in that GT3 class. Oh, and we see Wasey
wild off the curb.
Absolutely unfortunate there to see. That is going to give Time the opportunity he was looking for, and us the chance to jump over to this battle between Woohoo and Thorn once more. I do see a battle for P1 up front.
Yeah, we do see Kiage has caught up to Big Justice. We know he's going to throw his elbows out. Now just going to let him by.
Yeah,
so
we'll jump back to the Woohoo and Thorn action, but this is for the lead in the GT3 or in the MX5 class. So we do want to see how this shapes up, especially after missing the end of the GT3 race on the broadcast. Shout out to Josh for letting me know I can circle back to some of those moments in between the races.
Yeah, for the season events, it might be worthwhile since we can technically skip the overtime if there's nothing to look at. It might be worth extending the overtime on some of these races so that we can go back and look at them.
Right. No, it certainly is. Now it looks like Big Justice with a little bit of a flash to Kia to show that he is not going to let him have that one just so simply. He's giving him a full-on bump draft up the hill, trying to get these guys into some serious lap times and give themselves some real pace. So I think he's going to line himself up for a dive, though. There's no way that they just continue to work together at this stage. Yep, there you go.
I see. Ooh, looks like Kiage backs out, gives Big Justice the position back. Justice does keep the car on the track. So Kiage back at the attack again. We do see the battle between Thorn and Woohoo has dropped down to a 1/10 of a second here. It looks like they're doing very similar going in here, but not quite close enough to get alongside.
Yeah, and I don't think Thorn was going to go for that big send that we saw from Big Justice. So he's kind of just lining himself up to keep close, which doesn't hurt at this stage. As we've mentioned, consistency is key. These GT3s are starting to catch up to the lap traffic, though, so this is where things get interesting for them. They're going to start to catch up to each other a little bit easier. We see Lando now within a second of Chloroform in P2. We see Brendan Diaz within a second of Tater in P5. And those battles have not stopped between Kia and Big Justice or Woohoo Man and Thorn. So multiple things happening here as we get closer and closer to only the halfway point in our second race. A lot more clean battling going on this time around, so always good to see. As we have a late joiner on the grid, Ed Nyland, who's out, has 1.2 laps to make up to the car in the pits. It looks like they pit relatively early, so they'll have a bigger gap once they get past that point. Brett Anderson, though, making the move on left sync handle down a little bit further back for P4. Now has 5.4 seconds to catch up to the Inferno. As Kia Golski looking to try and set up the same move that Big Justice pulled on him only a lap ago. Big Justice, though, aware of the opportunity and is going to try and stay out in front, not give himself into the lock. And a bigger send through the bus stop keeps him in front for a full lap at this stage. So it's a tight battle between these two, but Big Justice is managing to hold on to the ground just a little bit. I know that battle's not going to end anytime prematurely, so we'll check in with Brendan Diaz, who's got a good line on Tater in the Cat in the Hat Racer. Gives him a little bit of a bump, gives him some more speed. Can that Z4 handle the extra speed into the chicane? It does. So
get through without any major issues. So
nothing too bad. I am going to jump to see exactly how far back Thorn is from Woohoo, but definitely not within attacking range. So once more, we return to the battle for the lead on the MX5s.
Yeah, and it looks like Brett has fought his way all the way up to P4 in the grid now. Only the Inferno in his path to get onto that podium.
Yeah, and he's already shaved off about a second this lap alone, and he's got probably about 5 of them left, maybe 4. So I definitely think we'll see that battle for the final podium spot end up happening at some point. Looks like we did have a GT3 retirement, this time from Brendan Diaz, as he works to try and improve the car for the upcoming season. Tonight's event, just not feeling it as Chloroform cuts that one close on Kia. I'm assuming that one was a little bit of a friendly flyby gone wrong based on just how far into the NASCAR line we ended up going. Lando now ends up actually getting an opportunity, as he's going to wind up within a second after that. Kia making the most of that turn 1 chaos, though, ends up in front of Big Justice, who's going to probably try and line up that same dive. What does Kia do to set up for it this time here? Looks like doesn't even need to, as they're not going to be close enough to make that one happen.
Yage did have to overslow there into that chicane, though. So it looks like we're going to be going alongside in this next set of corners here. If anyone's brave or if they back out, I wouldn't be shocked if an incident came from these two. They're both hard racers. They're both friends, and they're both just gonna give it everything they've got to try and push each other to be the best they can be.
I was gonna say, speaking of give it everything they got, Woohoo Man and Thor once more battling with intense. Now, Big Dean Energy getting in the mix with that GT3. As soon as we pull away, it looks like we have a little bit of chaos between these two.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how that gap with the Inferno and Brett closes down on these two.
Yeah, you can see them in the background, not very far away. It looks like now within 5 seconds, Brett only 2 seconds away from the Inferno and that battle for P3. But at this stage, if Brett can make that happen and make a clean pass quick, he might even be able to get up here and turn this into a 3-man fight for the lead.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I definitely meant to go back and watch some of the battles from earlier as well in the replay file after this race. Um, just because there was some pretty solid fights going on.
And now we do have Bot Lando trying to work his way past Chloroform. These two have been pretty close together in the GT3 grid, but that Gulf Porsche has been breathing down the neck of the 26 car for quite some time. And it seems like that moment may have come. It looks like over the next lap or so here, Bot Lando is going to make that move, whether Chloroform's ready for it or not. So we're going to stay on board for just a minute to see how that comes. Big Justice and Kia Golski swapping positions once more. And then swapping them back.
We saw Project Purple with that heavy damage in race 1, but he's got a commanding lead right now over Chloroform and Botlando. 13 seconds with only 6 minutes left to go. A single spin could mess that up, a single contact with an MX5. But as long as he keeps it clean, I don't see these guys catching up to him. He's putting up 146 flats, putting up solid laps in that Nissan.
Yeah, definitely some serious pace from Project Purple here in race 2. Very comfortable up front. Really just going to be lap traffic that they've got to watch out for as Botlando sends one into the wall, and we'll have to reline up another shot. Big Justice did end up falling behind a little bit as a GT3 car came by. So they won't be able. Oh, it's going to be interesting. Okay. I thought they were just going for it. That looks scary. But Botlando gets past Chloroform in a way I'm sure he wasn't thrilled about, as most of these guys like to get a clean pass in. They don't really want that sort of a mistake to be the way they take a position. But it looks like Chloroform might try and take it back right away as he comes in with some serious speed, but possibly not enough. We're going to jump for just a moment, though, because Brett Anderson looking to grab that final podium spot from the Inferno.
Closing up super tight on there, but he takes that wider line. He's going to have more acceleration through this straight. Hopefully pull off into that side toe and get this overtake down into turn 1. We'll see if he has the aggression. Ooh, it looks like, oh!
And the Inferno wasn't looking, ends up making a little bit of contact with Lee, and Brett Anderson looks like he has the room to squeeze by, but just makes a little bit of contact himself. So both racers losing the opportunity now to try and catch up to that battle for P1, barring a mistake they make amongst themselves.
Yeah, we do see Big Justice slowly catching up, but with only 2 or 3 laps left, I'm not sure that they're going to close up that gap with the consistency that Kiage has been putting out today.
Yeah, a lot of these guys have been looking and looking and looking for opportunities, but we are well into the stages where you have to make one. So we'll see what happens as people start to get a little bit more desperate. We start to see a little bit later braking, and the cars are getting a little bit later as well. Speaking of a little bit later braking, Thorne, unfortunately, trying to be a little bit too quick through the bus stop, ends up losing a little bit of time to Woohoo, and now has to make up 3 seconds to somebody whose personal best lap is only 0.3 slower than their own. It's a tough ask.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point in time, these guys have been driving for over an hour and a half. Fatigue is definitely setting in between the practice, the 30-minute quali session, and race 1. So I wouldn't be shocked if there are more mistakes that end up coming here.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Right now, we've got a couple displays of that, even with those retirement cars a little bit further back in the field. You can just see they weren't feeling tonight's events. After all, this is a tough combination, as it's not only a tough track to try and get your head around, but you have to literally have your head looking around because you've got either cars blindsiding you ahead of the corners with their slower speed, or you've got cars blindsiding you from behind with their quicker. So keeps things interesting. speaking of keeping things interesting, left sink handle really looking for the move on the Inferno, trying to stay within that 1 second gap and create an opportunity, which it looks like Seb Bellew is starting to creep into in these final 2 laps against Chloroform and Botlando. So we might end up with a nice little GT3 action at the end here.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully they catch up a little bit more. But everybody seems to be pretty evenly spread out along the grid right now. We see 1 to 2 second gaps pretty much everywhere.
And consistent ones at that. Like I said, a lot of these guys have been looking and looking and looking for opportunities, but just can't find a great way by. Speaking of finding a way by, that'll be your lead car, Project Purple, weaving his way through the MX5 field there.
Yeah, that was some clean overtakes from Purple. I know he's definitely improved being the faster class. There was some chaos in some of the first events, expecting the cars to jump out of the way, but giving the heads up with the flashing lights that he's going to go for a move and then making the space himself is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, something we like to see a little bit more of. Speaking see a little bit more of, it seems like Chloroform not ready to give up on that P2 hopes now within a second. Almost had a little bit of a drafting chance down this mini straightaway. As they head into the heel, this man is on a mission, trying to make things interesting in the final lap it'll be of the event, as Project Purple with plenty of time to cross the line here and give us 1 more lap to settle all the scores. The big ones we're keeping an eye on here is going to be Seb Bellew lurking. I know it's 3 seconds, but as these two battle it out, there could be contact. Also going to be keeping an eye on left sink handle, who's trying to get by the Inferno, and we'll see if anybody else picks up something along the way. But man, you can see those brakes glowing now that it's getting dark out, just how hard these GT3 cars are pushing themselves into the corners. Everything getting a little bit worn at this stage in the evening. 2 hours of driving. I'm sure these guys are screaming to get off the rigs at this point, and there's only 1 lap separating them between the checkered flag and well, be separating themselves in that checkered flag.
Yeah, we'll see if Chloroform can take advantage of those late breaks that the BMW is known for to close up these gaps into some of these corners. Looks like he lost a little bit through the bus stop there, but
yeah, and he's hanging on. It's not out of reach, but you can see that flash of frustration there, excuse me, as he can feel himself getting closer and closer, but knows he just might not have enough time. It's gonna get close. He's gonna have to get creative here.
Yeah, that headlight flash saying, "Hey, Botlando, I'm right here. I'm coming for you." But they're actually catching up into MX5s into this final sector. That might be the break that Chloroform needs to close this gap down if those MX5s get in Botlando's way.
Which they did momentarily, but Chloroform not able to get through the corners as quickly through those final 3, and Botlando will give themselves just enough space to get by as a little kiss with the wall seals the fate. Project Purple does take home a phenomenal win, but Botlando seals the victory over Chloroform for P2, followed by Seb Bellew, Tater, and soon to be Speed Bump. We now have left sink handle we're keeping an eye on in the MX5 class to see if he can maybe catch up, but it won't be around these final bends. And we'll jump over to a few others from there. Great performances all around from the vast majority of the grid. From top to bottom, we ended up with the GT3s, Project Purple, Botlando, Chloroform, Seb Bellew, Tater, Speed Bump, Big Dean Energy, Aaron K, Leet, and then in the MX5s we had Kia Golski taking it home, followed by Big Justice, Brett Anderson, the Inferno, left sink handle Thorn. We're on with Clammy now as they try and make their way around the final straightaway, jumping over to Time Dyloon, who only has a few more corners left, and then we'll jump on with Wacy to bring the final lap home and wrap up our 3,000 member event.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Definitely something we'll have to look at doing again in the future when we hit that 4,000 mark. And then again, every time we hit a big milestone as we grow. For those who have not heard, we are expanding our offerings past Assetto Corsa. We are going to start running some leagues in iRacing as well. And we're always open to the new sims as they come out. We're just waiting for some of them to mature a little bit more before we bring them into our rotation.
And a little bit premature from Wacy there as they try and spin it across the line, but fall a little bit flat. But that wraps us up here in the end of race 2. You can see the evidence of all the donuts left behind. Kia Golski with a couple victory ones to close us out here at the end of our 3,000 member race. Josh, as always, appreciate you joining me. And appreciate everybody for watching.
It was a lot of fun broadcasting these ones with you. Sorry I missed the Wednesday one. Got caught up with some family stuff. But on looks like Purple wants to come in for an interview here.
Oh, a little post race? Sure.
Yeah. Hey, Purple, how's it going?
It's going good. Going good.
Yeah, you absolutely killed it in that last race 2 there.
Yeah, I realized that towards halfway through I was like, okay, there's no need to make any big moves. No need to do any of that. Just keep it smooth, keep it simple.
Yeah, you kept up consistent laps. You were putting up 146s. Started to slow down a little bit at the end there, but I'm sure that's just because you were comfortable with the gap, just trying to stay safe.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of packed MX5s towards the end. And I was like, nope, I'm gonna stay out of all of that. Just gonna wait for a straight to pass. I can afford to lose, well, a couple seconds.
Yeah, we're just watching some of your last laps here in the race, but what a great performance there, Purple. Weaved your way through and just survived.
Yeah, at that, I kind of told myself at the beginning, it's like, pretty much the very beginning pretty much will make or break the race at that pace, because I was like, all right, I'm probably gonna get blocked by a couple of MX5s on the very starting grid, but I made it through cleanly there too. I was surprised that I was able to make it through there.
Yeah, well, if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
But we are going to be wrapping up the broadcast here, Project. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you joining the race, and congratulations on a big win.